This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Okay, it's time. It's time that we go through the schedule week by week and get my thoughts on this schedule. Is it a tough schedule? Is it a hard schedule? All of the scheduling conversations we're going to have today. So let's just bring up this schedule and get right into it. And I think the first game, I kind of talked about this a lot in my video yesterday when this came out, the Browns versus the Bengals, and why I think that this is ultimately a good thing. Long story short, the Bengals are a good test for the Browns because the Bengals have a good run game, a great defense, and a good quarterback to test this defense out for the Browns. A lot of the things the Browns are going to want to test week one, run D, coverages, communication level, that's going to be tested with the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's see what the difference of coordinator does for them, at least in week one, and the Browns can get a good barometer of where they're at. All right, week two against the Steelers, Monday Night Football, another solid test. Look, the Steelers are a place, at Pittsburgh, has been a place where the Browns have not won very often, and I don't think they've won there in a very long time when they've had fans in attendance. That 2020 playoff game did not have any fans, or at least limited fans in attendance, I think like 500. So this is a situation where, hey, you get to go and get this thing off your back. Are the Steelers the biggest challenge on your schedule? No. Are the Steelers still a challenge though? Absolutely. They're still a division rival. They still have a good defense. They still have decent enough pieces on that offense to be able to run the ball on you. And again, another team that's going to test you and give you a barometer of where this team's at. And if you talk about barometers of barometers, the Titans, week 3 of September 24th, that is a barometer of all barometers because there's no team that runs the football better than the Tennessee Titans. And there's no team that was worse at stopping the run last year than the Cleveland Browns. So now you get to fully put it to the test, right? You get to make your mistakes the first 2 weeks against the Bengals and the Steelers. The Steelers will run the ball, I think, fairly often this year, but still, you get to test your run defense against those two teams, and then you finally get to play the Titans at home, which is fortunate, and you get to see what you can do with them and with that run defense. Is Dalvin Thomas going to hold up? And I've seen a lot of people look at these first 4 games, and they kind of freak out and panic, and they're saying, hey, the Browns are so unlucky here because look at this stretch. I don't think it's an unfortunate stretch. I think it's actually a very fortunate stretch for this team, and a very fortunate schedule come out for this team. No 3-game road trips. You get an extended month home here, basically for the entirety of for 4 weeks here, from September 24th to October 15th. You get a whole month at home for this team. So I think that's very fortunate. That's even better than a bye week, in my opinion. And then you have the bye week on top of that. And again, you get to see where this team is at by week 5, right? The purpose of the bye week, and I think the bye week, sometimes we think of it as, hey, we're going to get all our players healthy. It's only 1 week. A lot of the injuries that football players have aren't going to be healed because of 1 week off. They might be dulled a little bit, but the stuff that we talk about during the season being an issue, that's not going to be healed during a week off. What the bye week, I feel like, in my opinion, is most important for isn't healing up injuries, which is the common use and why you want it at the middle or the back half of the season. It's to make adjustments, serious adjustments to your plan. And what I want to make sure that this team has before that bye week is significant test before you get to that bye week so you can make real changes, right? And that's what they're fortunate to have. You get the Bengals week 1, No better team in the AFC not named the Chiefs than the Bengals. You get the Steelers, who run the ball a lot, very tough physical team. You can see where you're at that point. The Titans, one of the best run teams in the NFL, and the Ravens, who can run the ball, but they're going to be doing a little bit more air raid stuff. That means they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more, and you get to face this new version of Lamar Jackson with a new offensive coordinator. See if you can slow that attack down. You play all three of your division opponents in the first 4 weeks of the season, and then you get your bye. That's good. That's good. Would I have preferred to buy more in the middle of the week, more in the middle of the season? Sure. But where the bye is, the week 5 bye, I don't think it's that big of a deal because, again, you get to play 3 division opponents early before that bye, so you can make adjustments to your division all the way up to that bye, and then you also get to see if this run defense is going to be able to hold up versus the Titans. So I think the bye week placement is fine. I know other people are going to freak out, panic about that. I don't really think the bye week or where your bye week is really changes much about your ability to win football games throughout the season, because the Browns have had all kind of bye weeks and have been all kind of terrible throughout the year. So I don't really think it matters that much. But that's where the bye week is. There's been a big discussion about that. I think it's fortunate you get from September 24th, basically till October, 20th is when they leave to go to play Indy. And that's not even a far game there. And then they come back. They could probably bus back from Indy if they wanted to, or take a really short flight. And then you have to do the cross-country trip to the Seahawks. But even then, hey, you only have that one West Coast trip this year because the Cardinals and the Rams, I believe, are coming to Cleveland, which leaves, the Seahawks, and I believe that's it, right? I think you're just going to go over west for the Seahawks. I could be wrong on that. It could be the 49ers, but the 49ers came here. All right, so yeah, you're only going to Seattle in that West Coast trip. So you get all of the California or Arizona teams in Cleveland. That's fortunate. That's very fortunate. I think that's good. And especially that you get some of these teams early, right? I would rather play the 49ers early. And I don't think this discussion gets made or is had enough when it comes to the schedule. So much when we look at the schedule, we're assuming things about teams, and we're assuming that these teams, no matter where you play them, are going to be the same team throughout the year. The truth is that some teams have a better chance of being better, and some teams have a better chance of being worse the later you play them. The Cardinals, they're probably going to be a team that you want to play in the first half of the season, not the second half of the season when Kyler Murray gets back, or at least when he gets back and feeling comfortable in his own skin. The 49ers are another team that you kind of want to play early because you want to catch them before they figure out what they really want to do with quarterback if Trey Lance is still going to be on the roster, right? You have to imagine that first month or two of the season, they're going to be flip-flopping around both of those guys if they have not made their mind up, or at least they'll be more susceptible to flip-flopping with both of those guys the second that it seems like something's going to go wrong with one of them. The Seahawks, I think they're a team that you play them when you play them. The Colts are a team that you probably want to play early. You want to play them, either Anthony Richardson's out there and he hasn't figured it out yet, or you play them when they're still having Gardner Minshew start and they're still trying to hold that together, right? Either way, you want to play the Colts early. The Titans are another team that you might want to play late, I think. I think there's a better chance that the Titans are a team that eventually gets frustrated with Ryan Tannehill and benches him for Will Levis late in the year, and I think that would be an easier team to beat than them with Ryan Tannehill early in the year. I think there'll be a team that looks different, but the Steelers are a team that I would rather play early. The Bengals, I think any division team, you want to play them early because it's easier to win those division games early in the season than it is late when some of these teams have their groove, right? When the Bengals are hitting their groove, they're a very, very difficult team to beat, but they struggle early almost every season that they've had Joe Burrow. The Steelers are a team that's still going to be figuring out a lot of changes on offense. The Ravens are a team that's going to be figuring out a lot of changes on offense. Early is the time to hit a lot of these teams that the Browns play early, and I think that's a good thing. So that's my thoughts there. The 49ers, you get them after the bye week. That's going to be a very difficult game. The Colts, that's going to be a game that should be winnable. The Seahawks, we'll see where the Seahawks are at. I know they're coming off of that good season with Geno Smith. I'm not 100% sold that Geno Smith is going to continue to be the guy that he was last year. This year, we'll see what he is. The Cardinals, I have no idea what they're going to be. I don't know who's playing quarterback for them at that point. They're very much a question mark. So if I had to go through the first 9 weeks of the season, I will say it's possible that the Browns probably leave out of here out of 8 games. I think the high estimate is 6-2. I think 6-2 is definitely possible. And I think winning all of those division games, if you do early, that's huge. That's huge. That's not just early. We're up. And this is going to be a difference, right? If the Browns are 4-0 at the bye week, understand that's not, oh man, we're winning early, let's get excited. That's, hey, we already have clinched that we're not going to have an under 500 division record. And if you remember last year, the Bengals came this close to having an under 500 division record and almost losing the division because of that if anybody would have tied with them. That's huge. If they go 4-0 in that stretch, I mean, that's massive. That's not just normal early season, we excited because we 4-0. That is, oh no, this means something that they're 4-0. Now, they can still collapse the season. It don't matter if you got a 3-3 division record if you go 4-12 or something like that, but 4-13 or something like that. But still, that's big. That's big. The 49ers are a team that I think is going to be a little bit difficult. Honestly, the area I see the biggest loss potential here, and this is just me knowing this team, that week 2 game on Monday Night Football against the Steelers is something the Browns could easily lose. And that Seahawks game is something the Browns could easily lose. And I think if they were in a best case scenario to lose 2 of those games, it would probably be one of those 2 games. I know people are going to go, the Bengals are a much better team than the Steelers. This is just going off of the history. I know the Browns have shown the ability to beat the Bengals before. They have not given me confidence in their ability to beat the Steelers, no matter who the quarterback is. We've had Duck there. We've had Mason Rudolph there. We've had all kind of bums there playing quarterback for the Steelers. Browns still haven't been able to beat them. The Browns have been able to beat Joe Burrow. I have more confidence in their ability to beat them. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. The Browns have shown the ability to beat Lamar Jackson. They have not shown the ability to beat Pittsburgh for whatever reason. We just struggle against them. And then going out west, something funky always happens when we go out west. So best case scenario, I would go 6-2. I think what you want to come out of this stretch in, hey, if you win all 3 of those division games and you come out of this 4-4, that's great. But I think you probably 6-2 should be the hope. If you leave out 5-3, you feel good about it. 4-4 depends on where those 4 are. It does you no good if those 4 are 2 or 3 NFC games and you lost all of your division games. But if you won your conference games, and then you really just dropped 3 NFC games, that matters a little less, right? So 5-3 is what I would expect out of this stretch. 6-2 is what I would hope for. And I think it is possible to go 7-1 in this stretch, but I think 6-2, 5-3, that's the high end estimate that I'm willing to go here. 4-4 is probably the floor, I would think. I think they're probably going to be out of here at above 4-4. Let's go to the second half of this schedule. And one of the things that's interesting is that if you look at this second half, before Thanksgiving, the Browns are pretty much through all their division games. They played 3 at the start. They'll complete their series with the Ravens. They'll complete their series with the Steelers. And then for the month of November, for the rest of November and December, they don't play any division opponents until January against the Bengals. It's interesting, right? And again, thanks to Dogs by Nature for this chart. I thought it was a really nice chart. So shout out to the graphic design people over there. But that's interesting. Ravens, Steelers, again, division opponents. Really important that you win those games. Then you go at Denver, which has been problematic for the Browns. The Browns have had some problematic performances at Denver. Denver doesn't project to be a great team this year, but I do think Denver's a bit underrated. Now, it's funny because I thought they were overrated last year, and that proved to be true. I think they're a bit underrated. I think people are a little bit too eager to write off Russ, and I get why people don't like Russ. They don't think he's an honest person, whatever it is. But the same way, I feel like that energy has gone a little bit too far in the ignoring what somebody has done in the past just to disrespect him category, similar to Deshaun Watson. I think it's happening to Russell Wilson. People don't like Russ, so they're willing to lie about Russ now. And it's like, I think there's a chance that he might be all right, guys. Like, I don't think he's going to be great again, but I think there's a chance he might be all right. I think people are a little bit too eager to jump on that grave, and I think there's a chance that Russ is probably decent this year. The Rams, they're playing at the Rams, so they do go to LA. My bad. So I thought they played the Rams in Cleveland. They do go to LA. So that's going to be a little difficult. They went to LA 2 years ago with the Chargers. They'll go to LA this time. 4:25 game. That means it's going to be on CBS or Fox. It's going to be a semi-national game there. So that'd be interesting to see how they show up. The Rams are an interesting team because, like, I don't think they're going to be good. I really don't. But we'll see with them. Is Matt Stafford coming back? I thought he retired. He didn't retire, so he's back. Then they play the Jaguars. The Jaguars will be interesting. I don't know what the Jaguars are going to be, honestly. And I do feel like by week 14, they will be whatever they're going to be. And I think it's more likely that they are a little bit of a disappointment more than they are a success in building off last year. So there's that. The Bears are an interesting team to play late. If you want me to go back to my whole philosophy on teams you don't want to play early, teams you want to play early and teams you want to play late, you do have some teams here that I think are going to have a better chance of being better late than they will early, right? The Broncos are a team that I think they're going to be better in the second half of the season. The Jaguars are a team that I think will probably implode in the second half of the season. The Bears are a team that could be much better in the second half of the season than the first half of the season. Or it could be the other way around. I think they're a half-season team. The Texans, I think the Texans are going to be good at the end of the season. I think that CJ Stroud is a good quarterback prospect. I think he will be able to figure things out, and he will play his best football at the end of the year. Watch out for that Texans game. People are just going to assume this is a pushover and everything else like that. Deshaun Watson's already returned to Houston. He's going to want a revenge game. CJ Stroud's going to want to have to say something. Who's going to want to have something to say about that? And I think he's going to have something to say about that. Not predicting a loss here, but I do think don't sleep on the Texans this year. That's all I'm saying there. The Jets. Now, you're playing the Jets at home on Thursday night. The numbers tell you that that's a favorable game to have on a Thursday night at home. The numbers favor you tremendously. I do believe the Jets are going to be a team that's going to be far worse at the end of the year than they start the year with. And I think there's some fortune in that. All in all, I know some people were panicking about the schedule. It don't seem like that bad of a schedule to me. Especially in the AFC where you could have you could have a far worse schedule. We have to remember, right? The Browns, since we finished in last place, we're not playing Josh Allen. We're not playing Pat Mahomes. We're not playing Justin Herbert. We're not playing those teams. The Ravens and the Bengals are. So those are the teams that have the truly awful schedules. We don't have an awful schedule. And again, we tend to look at our schedule in a vacuum and not think about the schedules that other teams have. The Bengals and the Ravens have much worse schedules than us because they're the teams that have to play those quarterbacks, those teams with great quarterbacks. We don't have to do that. So I think this is a fortunate schedule for the Browns. If I had to do a prediction here for the last, 9 games of the season, I would say a conservative estimate, a low-end estimate, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would say 5-4. And they would finish the season, if you use both my conservative estimates, at 9 wins. If you put at what I feel like the team's going to do, I would say up that to 6 wins here. So 6-3, add that with the 5-3. And I think this is an 11-win football team. And then at the max, I think they're a 12-win football team. So anywhere from 12 to 9 wins is the range I see with this team in this current schedule. I think 9 should be the floor. If 9 isn't the floor, then something went wrong here and something needs to be changed drastically. But 9 should be the floor. 12 is probably the ceiling. And we'll see where the Browns go with that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.